The night I found my name in a document written 34 years before I was born, I did not scream. I wrote it down. My name is Mara Voss. I keep records for a town that would rather not have any. Black Hollow, West Virginia, sits at the wrong end of a logging road that the state stopped maintaining in 1994, the kind of place where you stop for gas and wonder if the attendant has spoken to anyone in a week, the kind of place where the reservoir drained in 1971 and nobody asked where the water went. Population, according to the last census that attempted the count, 812. According to the archive I keep in sublevel B of the Garner Street Municipal Building, a sublevel that does not appear on any floor plan. The number is lower. I want to be careful here. I am a skeptic by training and a documentarian by temperament. I do not believe in things easily. I believe in paper. I believe in measurements, in dates, in ink that sits correctly on the page. What I'm about to tell you resists all three, but it is in the file, and the file does not lie. Or rather, when it does lie, the lying is itself the evidence. What? This is Black Hollow Archive, case file 001, the motel room that doesn't exist. What? The Crestfall Motor Lodge was built in 1961 on Route 9, 4 miles west of Black Hollow's center. 14 rooms, exterior corridor, concrete block construction, white paint that had yellowed to the color of old teeth by the time anyone thought to photograph it. The parking lot sits in a natural basin. It floods every spring when the creek runs high and the standing water takes weeks to drain. The man who built it was named Eldon Price. He operated it for 6 years, then sold it to a management company out of Roanoke that never seemed to have a physical address. The Crestfall has technically been open since 1961, though I challenge you to find a review, a postcard, or a word-of-mouth recommendation. It simply exists the way a bruise exists, present, unasked for, and impossible to date precisely. The construction survey for the Crestfall is in Cabinet 7, Folder 31 here in the archive. I pulled it on a Tuesday in November, under fluorescent lights that hum at a frequency just below comfort. The survey is clean, professional. Dated May 1961, signed by a surveyor named Hollis Kern, who, I later confirmed, held a valid license with the West Virginia Board of Registration at that time. The dimensions are standard, the lot lines are proper, the room numbering runs sensibly from 1 to 14 along the exterior corridor, except for one margin note, directly, written in a different hand, not Kern's measured drafting print, but something looser, almost administrative, as if someone annotated it during filing. In the upper right corner of the second survey page, next to the room layout, Room 11 reserved. Not for guests. I measured the physical wall. I want you to understand that I drove out to the Crestfall on a Wednesday morning in November, parked in the flooding lot with the engine running in case I changed my mind. And I measured the exterior wall between Room 10 and Room 12 using a contractor's tape I bought specifically for this purpose. The measurement from the exterior frame of Room 10's door to the exterior frame of Room 12's door is 9 feet and 4 inches. I took the measurement 3 times. The concrete block is original. There are no seams, no filled openings, no evidence of a door frame ever being poured into that section of wall. 9 feet and 4 inches is not enough space for a room. The pre-digital guest ledger for the Crestfall Motor Lodge, spanning 1963 to 1989, lives in Cabinet 7, Folder 31, directly behind the survey. It is a cloth-bound volume, ledger-ruled, and the entries are written in a rotating cast of desk clerk hands. You can track the turnover in the penmanship, the way one clerk uses looping lowercase and another prints everything in careful block letters. The ledger covers 26 years of occupancy across 13 rooms. Across those 26 years, Room 11 appears 9 times. 9 entries, 9 guests booked under Room 11 at the Crestfall Motor Lodge, a room with no physical space to exist. The entries are spaced across the years, 1963, 1967, 1971, twice in 1974, 1979, 1982, 1985, and then the last one. Every entry looks, at first glance, like any other ledger entry. Name, date of arrival, date of departure, room number. But when you hold these 9 entries against the light, there is something wrong with the ink. It sits differently on the page, not faded, not smeared, differently, as if the paper received it reluctantly, as if the entries were added later by someone who had studied the desk clerk's handwriting and nearly matched it. Nearly. True. The 9th entry is dated October 13, 1987. The guest's name is Dennis Crale. I found Dennis Crale. He is 67 years old and lives in a town called Golly Bridge, about 40 minutes south of Black Hollow. He did not want to speak to me. He spoke to me anyway, standing in his driveway for 11 minutes in the cold, never once inviting me inside. He has the quality of a man who has answered this question before, in his own head, every night, without arriving at an answer. He remembers pulling into the Crestfall on October 13th. He had been driving since Beckley, running late, not paying attention to which motel he chose. He remembers the desk clerk, a woman, middle-aged, who seemed startled to see him, though she gave him a key. He remembers carrying his bag along the exterior corridor. He remembers the wall. He does not remember opening a door. What Dennis Crale remembers next is the fluorescent light of a fuel station in Clover Fork, West Virginia, 70 miles north. It was morning. He was in his car, engine running, sitting in the driver's seat with his hands in his lap. The fuel gauge was below the empty line, not on empty. Below it, past the point the needle is designed to reach. The engine was still running. He has never explained that last part to anyone's satisfaction, including his own. The desk clerk on the night of October 13th, 1987, was a woman named Patrice Mull. She's no longer living, but she gave a written account in 1991 to a local notary whose records I found in Cabinet 3, Folder 8. The account is handwritten, 3 pages, and describes with a surveyor's precision the sequence of what she saw. At approximately 10:40 p.m., a door appeared in the wall of the exterior corridor between rooms 10 and 12. Not opened, appeared. She describes a seam of darkness forming in the concrete, widening, resolving into a door frame, and then a door. Hollow core, she said, the kind you'd find in any budget motel in 1987. And then a handle. She felt cold air reach the front desk before the guest's key touched the lock. She did not move. She did not speak. She watched Dennis Crale walk inside. In her account, she notes one additional detail with the careful calm of a woman who has had 4 years to decide whether to write it down. Or the door, she writes, was already slightly open when it appeared, dito, as if someone on the other side had been holding it for him. Well, the checkout receipt for Dennis Crale, room 11, dated October 14th, 1987, is a carbon copy. The date is typed. The room number is typed. The charges are itemized. In the signature field where the guest is expected to sign upon departure, there are characters. They are not Dennis Crale's signature. They do not resolve clearly into any name at direct viewing, but if you hold the receipt at an oblique angle, approximately 45 degrees to the light, the characters shift, the way a word hidden in a picture shifts when you finally find the angle, and what they form is not his name. I found the receipt on a Tuesday. On Thursday, I found something else. In Cabinet 7, Folder 31, behind the ledger, there is now, and I'm precise about the word now because it was not there on Tuesday, an additional document, an occupancy addendum. The paper is the same stock as the ledger, but it is undated. It lists all 9 prior occupants of room 11 in columns: name, date of stay, duration. I recognize some of the names from the ledger. I did not recognize others, and I have not yet found them in any other record. At the bottom of the addendum, below the 9th entry, there is a 10th line. The date field is blank. The duration field reads, in the same hand as the rest of the document. Final. The name field is not blank. I am not going to tell you what it says. I think you already know. I drove back to the Crestfall that evening. Not inside. I want to be clear that I did not go inside. I stood in the flooding parking lot as the sun fell behind the tree line, and I looked at the parking lot drain. It is original to the 1961 pour. The cover is cast iron, unremarkable. The kind of industrial drain you would walk past without a second thought for 60 years. Around its outer border, cast into the iron itself, not stamped after the fact, not scratched in, but cast in, original, permanent, is a ring of names. Small, difficult to read in fading light. I knelt in the standing water and I read them. There are 10 names around that ring. 9 of them match the occupancy addendum I found in Cabinet 7, Folder 31. The 10th name is mine. At the top of the drain cover, where you might expect to find a manufacturer's stamp, there is instead a single word, archive. I do not know who built this drain. I do not know who cast my name into iron in 1961, 23 years before I was born. I do not know what room 11 is, or what it wants, or who has been maintaining its list across 60 years of careful, patient record keeping. What I know is this: the archive keeps files on things that happened. Somebody, or something, has been keeping files on things that will happen. I drove home on Route 9 as the fog came in off the reservoir bed. The Crestfall Motor Lodge grew small in my rearview mirror. 14 rooms, exterior corridor, white paint the color of old teeth. I counted the doors as I pulled away. I counted 15. I will not walk toward that building again until I understand more than I currently do. Whether that is caution or cowardice, I leave to your judgment. What I will do is keep reading the files. Someone put them here for a reason, and I am beginning to think that reason is not entirely benevolent, not entirely separate from whatever is waiting in that room on the other side of a door that doesn't exist. My name is Mara Voss. I keep records. The record now includes me. This has been Black Hollow Archive. The file remains open.